Good evening, everybody. I'll call the advisory meeting to order on February 4th at 7 p.m. All members present online on Zoom. All right. Thanks, everybody, for calling in tonight. We do have our posted agendas. It's a pretty big meeting. We do expect that Select Board may join for discussion or comments as needed for the first item numbers 2 and 3. So the first item of business is to discuss the FY27 budget items. I just preface this by saying we all participated in the annual budget summit with the select board a couple Saturdays ago, where we did hear the budget reports and reviewed line items for schools K through 8, regional school, fire, police, DPW, library, and IT. So it was a busy day, and I think we learned a lot. So tonight, I think in reviewing the budgets, we have to decide, first off, what questions we have. Is there anyone we want to bring to our future meetings between now and the town meeting in May? Am I right? Is it May? April? April, sorry. April. And also if anyone wants to meet with certain department heads, et cetera. So with that, Andrew, I think you were going to maybe pull up the budget sheets. I did ask Brian Ballantyne to make sure everybody had the active links today. I think some of you it might not have been working for. Like if it's been forwarded to you and then you try to forward it, it doesn't always work. So hopefully everybody got access. Everybody get access? Okay. All right.
All right, you should be able to see the Rev Cap window, right?
All right, and I think this was maybe updated as recently as today.
I think so.
And let me just check for 1 second, make sure. All right.
So, do you want me to walk through some of the
Andrew,
nuances here?
Okay. Please do. Thank you.
So in free cash, I think we were carrying about $1 million for the studies. There was basically 80,000 of redundancy between study 2 and 3. There was the same, I guess, mapping or site survey for both, so they didn't actually need that extra 80. I think one of the things that we could talk about tonight is what is advisory stance on articles 1, 2, and 3 in the warrant. If we want all 3, then we should carry that 919 number. If we don't support, either 1, 2, or 3, we should, I think, lower this number to what I think we do support. And we can talk about that further. Local receipts, they added about $50,000 there. We did get the preliminary governor's budget cherry sheet number, so there was a little bit of an increase there. I think overall it was $60K because they increased the revenue and the cost. So not really anything good there. We are $560,000 in the hole. So again, if we decide that, say we want to go only with supporting Article 1, which would be consistent with Select Board and School Committee, that would add back $824,000 of this 919. So that would make us positive, but again, we'll discuss that. We added back the capital that we had kind of taken out to try to get to the number. We left in the reduction on the Geeter. It seems like Bill thinks that he can make something work with some kind of a golf cart or just a cheaper vehicle.
Sorry, which one was that, Andrew?
That was the John Deere utility, that basically what they use to drive around the transfer station. Again, we were talking about do you need a 4-wheel drive super vehicle to go up the hill? Probably not. So I think I think they could do something with that amount. The rest of the stuff we kind of took out because in the meeting we weren't necessarily sure. But if anybody has any questions,
but we should talk about that too, because I don't think we've decided. I understand this is what the selectmen are bringing forward of what they want as capital articles, but I think there's discussion. We could for example, if we delayed one of the DPW trucks at 262,000 times two,
Yeah.
you could put back the police cruisers, for example. We have, for me, we have officers, and I have a meeting with the police chief next week.
Yeah, the police cruisers are in there. Sorry, I think they just left it in the formatting over here as crossed out. But yeah, those are in.
I'm just reading those as
I
cross.
think, yeah, I think it's because we were hopeful that the schools would get back to us that they were covering it, but we haven't heard back. So the numbers are in there. Yeah, so they're not crossed out. So yeah, they are still in there.
Okay.
Okay.
So the tree survey study, this is kind of like, if I remember correctly, this was kind of where we were headed in the meeting. Obviously, we didn't take any positions, so we can obviously add back stuff, remove stuff, but this is, I think, kind of the consensus. The tree survey study, I haven't had a chance to talk to Bill, but I've also seen grants for that done, or at least 50% grants. So I think maybe it's deserves more thought process there.
All right, I'm going to put that on our list for tracking. Like we want to find out more from Bill. Okay.
Yeah, I think the fiber line, we never really got to talk to Bill about that, and we talked about why can't it be wireless, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So again, I think that is one that we should probably get a little more into.
Okay.
And is the fire truck something we could? I know it sounds like we're going to ask the schools for a lot, but I would put that on the ask there too. So
which one?
The Bush fire truck. S20 that
the brush fire truck. Yeah, so we did reduce that. I think from 125 to 75. Remember we talked about in the meeting. He didn't have to do the paint.
Right.
Yeah.
And they pushed off the prevention car.
Okay. Yep. But again, that's something I would personally have no problem going to the school.
Yeah, no, I think the kind of the idea was to ask at least St. Mark's for one of the police cruisers the PPE, and then they usually give us $50,000 towards the general fund. That's more than they've ever given us, but who knows? Doesn't hurt to ask. Haven't heard back from we have to talk to the other schools, but again, so hopeful that some of this gets picked up there, but we'll leave it in for now, I think.
So the brush truck went from 125 to 75.
Correct.
Because of no paint, which minus 50, according to Chief Bettini. Okay.
Some great paint, by the way.
I know. Wow.
But
that's great.
I was in Boston today for work, and I was grabbing lunch, and two Boston police got out of a Bronco, which was these light duty ones, and I asked them if they liked it, and they said it's good for just not a duty vehicle, but they like it otherwise. So food for thought. So that's, I think everything else in the capital plan is the same. On the operational budgets, this is one. So there is included in the planning board budget, this 20% increase is a 2-grade increase for the town planner. That I believe, I don't know if Barry, if you listen to the personnel board meeting, but I think they weren't supportive of that, and the planning board maybe is going to try to do a contract, but I don't know if this is the year that basically this salary increase that would put there would be over the DPW superintendent. Makes sense.
We didn't talk about that on Saturday.
We didn't. I think we kind of glanced over it, but because it wasn't one of the boards that were in front of us.
Yeah.
So that would be.
Anyone have thoughts about that? Like, is that? Well, keep going, Andrew.
So I mean, I think it's for if everybody else is being held level service, just the regular COLA increase. I think that it's a little excessive to go. Not even 1 grade, 2-grade increase on a year where we're cutting to the bone everywhere else. I think, especially because it doesn't sound like personnel board is supportive. I don't know if select board is either.
Can you scroll up for a second, Andrew? I'm sorry, I just missed the point.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's. Do you have the breakdown inside
of this 250?
Yeah. I can pull it up on the planning board sheet.
I have it here. Let me just share another window. This one. So here's the overall budget, 250,659, and here's the salary currently grade 7, step 7, it would go to a grade 9, step 9. So it would go from 111 to 143, the 32,000 increase.
And is
I
there
mean,
any-
if the personnel board doesn't support it, I wouldn't be in favor of it
Yeah.
either. And because
Mhm.
I'm not in favor of trying to get around the personnel board by trying to do contracts.
Yeah, and you know, whether or not that's who can sign it and the legality of what, I don't know. That's always been contested between, you know, different boards and committees, but I don't support doing the end run, and I wouldn't support giving them the budget to do it.
Yep.
But that's just my thought.
is
So
there-
this is an out of cycle request, right? Like Corinna.
Yeah, this
obviously
isn't a
would
rate.
eventually
What do they
get to
call
these
it,
steps or
Barry? The
whatever.
rate and study or the salary study
Yeah,
that they would do.
salary study.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that. I wonder if
But this
the
could
one-
get picked up in the salary study as being out of market, right? And it could be an
Yeah.
adjustment then, which I would suggest we wait to get that report back to tell us that versus doing it this
Okay.
way.
And
So
is
personnel
there
board
one-
doesn't support. Okay.
Is there a one step that you said it was 2 steps? Is there a one step option?
Well, you'd
This is
have to
just-
create the job, right, Barry? You'd have to create the actual position at a grade 8, and then they would have to go into the SAP, and then you have to move her into that, right?
Right, you have to do a job description, which is then evaluated, and there's a system they have for determining what grade and step the job goes to. And if the personnel board is saying the job description doesn't justify this, then they either have to change the job description or figure out some other way. But yeah, I mean, I agree with Andrew. This should go through the normal processes, and if it comes out that way, fine. And if the salary survey determines that's appropriate, fine. But if personnel board doesn't think it's justified, then I don't see why we would support it.
No, I'm just looking for the facts. So this, if I'm understanding, wasn't done by personnel board. This was planning's idea on their own.
Correct.
I just want to correct what I said too. I said step, but they're asking for grade, which makes sense. You would have a new position description, et cetera. So anyway, scratch what I said earlier about step.
I mean, do we have any sense of, is this because Karina is like performing at a higher level, or is this a promotion that she's step into and it's a growth opportunity? Any sense, or is the personnel board, they'll run through all that?
Well, they don't evaluate performance. It's strictly based on years of service moving up, unless there's a change in the job description. And then again, the job description would be evaluated to see whether it merits being put at another job grade level.
Yeah, okay.
So presumably that would be a change in scope of duties or essential functions
Exactly.
or
That's what
something
I'm
like
getting
that.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she performing at that higher level, or is it, and it's just correcting it and making her whole, or is it something where, okay, she's getting a promotion and we'll grow into the role? Because it's a pretty, by any standards, that's a pretty substantial salary increase.
Yeah, there really isn't like promotions. It's the role is the role unless there's a different role. Does that seem right, Barry?
Yeah. So
Okay.
absolutely.
I mean, there is like when we used to have the business admin, 1 and the business
and
admin 2, you could kind of go up in that case, but in this case, your department heads are kind of like. So I think at a grade 9, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong, is DPW superintendent and treasurer, or there's like 2 roles I think in that bucket.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's been
Okay.
a while since I looked at it.
But anyway, so yeah, I think more to come on that. I mean, I think it just
Okay.
needs to go through the proper processes.
Exactly.
You know, doing an end run of just doing a contract and adding it into your budget submission.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, I agree.
All right. Thank you.
and then the police. You know, he kind of talked about do we want to reduce one officer? Howard, well, you were the police. You talked to the police chief, right?
I have a meeting with him next week to talk about it, but we haven't connected yet.
So I think we can, depending on what we do with the free cash and, you know, maybe play with some capital. And it sounds like Algonquin might come in a little bit lower. We might not need to do that to avoid the override. So right now, I think it's just the
And I want to talk to Chief about it.
Yeah.
A couple of things. One, we kind of made this plan last year. right? And
Yeah.
we're moving forward on this. There goes, and my understanding from the Saturday meeting is morale is actually good at the police department, which it hasn't been in years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm concerned about stopping that process and losing morale, and then officers starting the process over again.
Yeah.
My concern is it continue. You know, I still have the philosophy: what do we get for our taxes in this town? We get police, we get fire, we get DPW, and we get schools. That's our primary things, and police is one of them. That, you know, we made a commitment. We've seen a lot. If you've been following the blogs and the reports and what they've been doing, they've been able to accomplish a lot more having the officers they have. And I don't want to see that go. And we're seeing a lot more traffic through Route 9. But it also ties into those capital op projects with the new cars. We have new officers now. We need to put them in cars and whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's added back in, so it's not. We didn't take it out right here. It's just that we added the red dot and the guns.
I had a
So it's-
question. We, at town meeting last year, we approved, I believe, 4 new officers for the current fiscal year.
we summed it up, but yeah, it was too.
And there was some skepticism about whether they could all be hired in the year. Did they actually hire 4 people?
Well, the other 2, I believe, are open.
I think there's still some
March
open.
2nd or something.
Yeah.
I think they're open in March, and then, but I think one of the earlier ones is still open too. So it sounds like the thought process of not being able to find them fast enough came to fruition
Well,
because
that's not fair.
open for a little while.
It was filled, and then it was a night position, and she couldn't answer, so it was
Yeah.
filled. And then quit. So
Yeah.
It was filled and recently vacated. So I guess they filled it. The other 2, like we said, were postponed and they weren't hireable yet. Now they're available and they're in the process of filling. So
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. And are there any additional hires of police officers in this budget? Because I had to leave before.
This has the full everybody hired. Right. So I think Larry, the conversation was that there's 2 open. There's
2
3 open positions
carryover.
now. There's 2 more that are being opened in March. Do we
Right.
basically
Right.
not fill one of them to save some money? And I think I don't want to speak for
Right.
everybody else, but I
But
think we're
was
okay
there-
with leaving it.
Was there a proposal to add any more in fiscal 27 beyond the 4?
No. We're not adding any more now.
Okay.
no, it's just to the level we agreed to last year, but we postponed 2 till this year.
Okay. Thanks.
When we pull select board over, I think.
Oh, yeah,
at
yeah,
least
Kathy
maybe
raised
one or 2,
her hand.
one or
Let
2
me,
folks have met with them
Yeah,
since
let
our
me-
last meeting. They
Kathy.
might have some update.
And while we're waiting for that, just for clarity, so if we're in the hole, so to speak, then that means it's an override. If we're below the threshold, then that means it's just your standard 50/50 approval. Is that right?
Well, town meeting is still, you just approve the budget. The problem is you then need the override to actually be able to
Yes.
levy it. Yeah.
And you avoid
Um,
that if it's under your threshold or whatever the threshold is.
If A on the participants is actually Al Hamilton, raise your hand. But if there are any other select board members, raise your hand. But I think it's just Marguerite and Kathy. Oh, there's Tim.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to call a meeting to order then.
Yeah.
Yep,
listen.
if you're bringing everyone.
Kathy, you want to do that?
Well, Marguerite, and you're bringing Marguerite. Marguerite's vice chair. She
Oh,
really
yeah,
should
I'm
be.
vice chair. It
Perfect.
is, what time is it? It is 7:20, and I'm calling the select board meeting to order.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining.
So can I add some color to the police department discussion that you guys just had?
Please.
Okay,
Yep.
so Howard, Andrew Dennington and I met with Chief and Lieutenant this week.
Mhm.
And they made a really, really, really passionate, convincing case not to drop that position. I mean, they are devastated that we'd even consider doing it. So where they are right now, they do have 3 open positions, including Jaleisha's, who left because she just could not work that midnight shift. So she went back to Burlington. But
Mhm.
they've got 40 applications for those 3 positions. So they do expect to fill them pretty quickly, long before July 1st. So we do need to give them some guidance soon, as far as what to do, because they are interviewing for those positions as we speak. So if you could go meet with them sooner than later, to hear
We
what
have
we
an
did.
appointment, we have an appointment next Thursday, which is his availability, so.
Okay, and I'll send you what they gave us. They gave us a handout, so I'll send that to you too, so you can read that before the meeting. So you don't have to read it sitting there. Now, back to a couple of things. So we only added 3 last year. They wanted 6. That's what the report said, although Chief now says it's 9. But anyway, 6 or 9, we only added 3. With the intention, we were going to add the other 3 this year, which we clearly aren't. And he's accepted that. He's accepted the fact we're adding no new hours this year anywhere, and we've stuck to that so far. So he's accepted that, but he really wants to keep the one that we gave him last year in this. So Howard, why don't you do the meeting, then we can all decide what we think the right answer as far as that goes. So Andrew, it's 99,564. You got to put back in there if you want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I did. I just deleted
Okay.
out the
Okay.
line.
All right. As far as the capital, the requests have been made at the schools. We're waiting to hear back. So right now we just put it all back in because no one said yes yet. So to be conservative, it's all back in there. So
Okay.
hope we'll hear some good news soon.
All right.
I think with the police, added back in, we're at 632. So I think the big outstanding one is, do we want to go to the warrant, Marcy, and take a look at those first 3
Good.
articles and see what we think? And that should move the needle one way or the other.
Does everyone agree we move to the second item on our agenda because it significantly relates here to this dollar amount?
Before we do that quickly, there's other capital items that were on the list. And what about the ones below? Scroll down to the budget articles. And some of these tie into the warrant articles, right? So
These the
The roof.
debt here.
No, wait, it's a different roof.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Trotter doesn't, obviously, but the Neary place ties into the things.
Correct.
Right.
And the other, we should, we can circle back after. We should talk about some of these as well and
Yeah.
how it handles.
And Kathy, we're carrying this feasibility cost for full renovation down here in the debt, and we're carrying it in free cash, right? It's a double counting.
So that's wrong. We should get it out of here.
Okay.
At least you shouldn't have it both places. So I'd say for now you get it out of here.
Yeah.
Right. It's not much money as far
I
as
don't
the it's $8,600. It's not going to change much, but it shouldn't be both places.
Right. And that's one of the things I was talking
For
about.
cleanliness.
Okay.
Good catch, Howard.
Should the ADA be added into this section now, since that's part of the warrant article?
Yeah. That's again, same thing, right? The
So should-
feasibility costs for all of Neary should be covered under the roof is a warrant article. Where's the ADA is
I'm just going to call it ADA costs. What was it? And what was the
Okay.
number, Tim?
In the $2 million
It's
range.
2
wasn't it?
million.
I'd put 2. It's 2 and change. And then they added in feasibility. So the whole thing was like 6. Marcy, help me. 6. I'd say put 6.5. Just put
6.5, I
6.5
think.
for the moment. I mean, you're close. And we're only talking about the
I
debt
think
service.
we're gonna-
For the whole
Well, I'll do this. 'Cause
6.85?
I have the debt service there. So, right, that's 6.5, and then I have the 38,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy, are you talking about Article 4 at 6.85?
There you go.
Yeah, it's
Okay, there you
yeah,
go. 6.85.
all right. For now, we'll
All right, we'll leave
put
that.
a placeholder here. We'll come back, but I do think
And then
it is
okay,
a
so
good
now
breaking
we're-
point.
Yeah, 632. Okay. So
Okay.
I think I have the warrant.
I have my notes, so I can start just briefly talking. So last night's select board school committee met. One of the agenda items was discussion of the articles for the March 6th meeting. I'm sorry, the March 2nd meeting. And both committees voted on all 4. And perhaps tonight we could do the same if we're ready to. But Article 1, in quick summary, is transfer free cash not to exceed $175K for feasibility study, design, planning, architectural engineering wetland analysis and renovation and improvement options at NERI. So this is the NERI Reno article. Option 1, comprehensive Reno. Option 2, address deferred maintenance and necessary improvements to extend practical life by 15 years. And all of the items that are suggested there, such as new roof, ADA compliance, removal containment of asbestos, fire suppression, I can't even read my own writing, maintenance and replacement of HVAC, pointing and repair of exterior brick and concrete, with the target cost not to exceed 15 million, less the cost of the roof and ADA compliance otherwise appropriated. So Article 1, as we know it, I think is the NERI Reno option, which was unanimously supported by Select Board and School Committee in last night's meeting. Again, this is to approve the study.
I have a
Okay.
quick question if I can. And
Sure.
I'm cutting off. If they want to go first, that's fine.
No, go
Go right
ahead.
ahead, Howard.
I
hear anyone else.
I tried to follow last night as best I could. I'm confused how you vote Article 1. Is it vote for Article 1, Option 1, vote Article 1, or do you vote for Article 1 and then we figure out which option we're doing after?
I think it's Article 1 shall
Yeah,
at a
both.
minimum include 2 options. So your
Right.
Article 1 has 2 options, right?
Okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
I mean, option 2 is really, in theory, I mean, a subset of option 1, just pieces of it, and maybe pieces with a flair, or
so you're basically doing Option 1, but there's a goal to try to get it to Option 2. So they're
No,
doing
you're
it.
trying
No,
to look, you're trying to look at two
Looking at both.
choices, Howard. You basically do a full renovation. They do a schematic design. What's the cost? Then they look at doing a much smaller set of, I wouldn't even call it a renovation, improvements over time. Mr. Hamilton believes that in 15 years, the school population is going to go down based on some work he did.
Mhm.
So his plan is just to do what needs to be done for 15 years and then close NERI. So 2 different things. But Andrew's right. We believe that, the architects will be able to do, 2 kind of as a subset of 1. And then give the town a choice. Do you want to do the, full renovation all at once, or do you want to do a much smaller targeted renovation on things you have to do? And option 2, and just, I hate to say as little as possible. That's what it is. Do what you have to do to keep the school open for 15 years. So it's all one thing. Now, it doesn't mean that someone can't stand up and say, let's split the article into 2. I don't want to vote for option 2, or vice versa. I don't want option 1. School committee did not vote. They opposed option 2 until, if anybody listens to the meeting, we worked very hard to
Yeah.
get the word target in that
Target
next
at
sentence
cost.
instead of it cannot exceed. So we got the word target in there so that because there's some of us that don't believe that the $15 million is a realistic number. And therefore, and if you really want to see it added up, it may go over $15 million. So we want to see that number. So anyway, we got the word target in there, and then the school committee voted to support both option 1 and 2, as did select board.
So I remember that, and I agree. So we're spending $175,000 to get a study from a feasibility study that gives you 2 options in 1 feasibility, and then we'll come back to the town meeting to vote what they want to do at that point.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Exactly.
and Kathy, it might be good. I mean, my assumption is that there's
Kathy,
not.
if I may, so a question that came up.
Go ahead, Eric.
Just real quick. So I appreciate that you've got a punch list of stuff. So what happens though if you open up walls and you see lead plumbing or other things like that, which are not encompassed within this cost? Is the anticipation that you would include those as well, and it might certainly go above the 15 million and add a bunch of other things that you haven't contemplated yet? Or is it really you're only going to look at this? Anything related that might come up regarding other code violations or improvements will just be handled separately?
Common sense would tell you if you open up something and find something that you didn't expect that really needs to also be fixed, you're going to have to add it to it. That's why we were really trying to get that $15 million cap out of there so you can really do what you have to do. So you can go back and listen to the meeting, Eric, and see that, this was a long, hard meeting.
Yeah, I
but,
believe it's 9:30.
we're just trying-
I saw the target
Right,
in
so
there.
we were just
That's helpful. Yeah.
we were trying to get an agreement among all 5 members, right? So we can go forth and say it's not 3-2, that we really do support trying to figure out how to renovate Neary, and we can look at it both ways if that's what's going to satisfy everybody. But I just don't see how if you open it up and find something horrible in it, you don't have to, you wouldn't fix that too.
So
So
basically, we're
I
gonna
was
come
still
back.
trying to go down the direction that Howard was going down because I actually had the same, I watched this for a long time last night, but I had the same confusion. So are we actually looking at 2 feasibility studies, the feasibility of doing option 1 and the feasibility of doing option 2? I'm not sure how you can.
It's
Well,
one
it's-
feasibility
It's
study.
one study with 2 options. Like the Neary one, we had one feasibility study with 12 options?
So you get a study, they'll do a study, they'll look at it and they'll say to do just the bare minimum, fix the roof, whatever they find that must be done, ADA sprinklers, whatever the minimums are, will cost X. To do everything, revamp it, widen it, new finishes, do it to make it a brand new looking, creme de la creme would cost Y. And this town will then get to vote on which of if they choose that route, they will get to choose which of those 2 options the town is interested. So if it costs not 15, it costs $20 million when we open it up to find it. But the other one goes back to the 60 or 70, the town gets to vote which way they want to go with it.
Kathy, I think you guys are going to need a visual at town meeting.
We're gonna need
Well,
a lot at town meeting.
I think the important thing too is to understand, Kathy, from the consultants, the 175 for both options. If we remove, say option 2, what does that save us? I don't think it's much, 5-10 grand maybe, because it's such an overlap, right? I think knowing that would be good. They might just say, listen, it's, option 2 is part of option 1. We're just basically doing another presentation for you, another spreadsheet, right? There's not a whole lot of extra work because people might ask that question.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the work for Article 1 was already done by the Neary Building Committee in terms of looking at what things were going to cost.
And that's why it's 175 and not 500,000 like number 2.
That's right. There's a whole lot of legwork previously done that they will be able to take advantage of.
Because we do think the same folks will be doing that did the last feasibility study might do this one too. Is that right, Kathy?
We think
Or
that
too soon to tell?
they're the ones that gave
They
us
may
these
did.
numbers, Marcy. These numbers came
Okay.
from Errol Street.
Okay.
So I believe they're interested in bidding on this. They know more than anyone as far as they've got this background. So, I would think
Go to
that
bed.
they're comfortable with these numbers. That's why they gave them to us. I don't know what anybody coming in cold would think about these numbers. So,
Okay.
So the other thing that I was having trouble completely interpreting was the $15 million less the cost of the roof and or ADA compliance. So does that mean it's really 9 million plus the 6 million for the roof and ADA?
it does.
Okay.
I-
That's the way I read it. I just wanted to make sure that's
Which is
what-
Article 4, right?
Yep.
Like if Article 4 failed, right, then I think
Yeah.
an Article 1 passed.
And I don't know if you finished the
That's
language.
what-
I would,
but what-
instead of saying less than, I would say inclusive of or something
Or
like that.
excluding the cost of the roof, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
but I don't-
it's
All right.
Inclusive.
We can play around with the word,
Inclusive.
but you
including.
understand that
Yeah,
15 million does include the roof.
It does? I thought it did not.
Right.
No,
That's
it
what I
absolutely
just
No, it
asked.
does.
It does. It's 15 million total, includes the roof, period. We're assuming that the roof is going to pass. If anybody saw that roof picture last night, we're assuming the roof is going to pass no matter what. It looks like a lake up there. So we're assuming that. And so if you're already going to do that, then that's not part of the 15. So the goal is to spend no more than 15 million, which includes a roof.
Oh, Kathy, I interpreted it the other way. We better deal with that wording.
Yeah, why doesn't it just say $9 million, not including the cost of the roof? And
It can. So if you guys think this is not clear, then we should make it really clear.
we don't know in the end what the roof is going to cost or what the ADA is. I mean, I think it just,
Okay.
I would just put in parentheses $15 million, including the cost of, if we do that, right? To clarify.
I'm really glad this came up because it is, to me, it is ambiguous the way it's written right there.
Well, it does say if otherwise appropriated. So I think that's the clarifier, which maybe.
I'm just trying to come from the position
We'll
of
work
someone.
on, but
Yeah.
to be clear,
Okay.
the 15 million does include the roof.
Okay.
Whatever word you say there, it does include the roof. So not to
So-
spend more than 15,
Let me
when
ask,
you repairing the roof.
let me ask if Article 4 were to fail, and I don't expect that to happen, but who knows? If Article 4 were to fail, what's the impact on Article 1?
I don't think there's any, they're still gonna come back and say, you gotta, you gotta replace the roof. So that would be part of it. They would just pick it up again, I think, and say, this is what all you gotta, I mean, they're definitely gonna
So
say,
why
you gotta
doesn't
replace
this,
the roof.
why doesn't this include G and H as roof and ADA?
Because you could just do someone in town could say, just do the roof. And I don't know how they do this because it's going to trigger the other stuff, but you could vote for the roof and not the other improvement and not the
Right,
stuff.
but in that case, you'd vote down Article 1 and you'd vote up Article 4.
Mhm.
Yes.
My question is, should we do Article 4 first?
We
That's
talked
a
about
question
that.
I had.
We talked about it last night.
Right.
And we talked about it a lot, flipping them, and then concluded that we're better off leaving it the way it is for a couple reasons. Let me also say this too. It's not a fait accompli that we're going to trigger ADA with the roof. We're waiting for the 1/126 assessed value of NERI. And I believe there's probably, he doesn't pay much attention to it. So if he knew it was really important, my guess it goes up. So we could fit the roof cost within the within 30%, which is your trigger, and then do the ADA if we did the entire project. So that would be the better way to do it rather than disrupt the kids and do ADA and then come back and do the big project. So anyway, TBD, I'm kind of getting off on a little bit of tangent here, but just don't assume the ADA is automatically triggered with the cost of the roof that we have.
Okay.
And Kathy, it might make sense to separate the articles then.
As far as roof and ADA?
No, option 1 and option 2.
Well, or break it out into two components and say ADA cost if needed or if required, right, by tripping code. But
Can I ask a dumb question? When you put this out to RFP, can't you just put that in the spec of the proposal? Why does it have to get approved on a warrant article? Just say you want 175 grand to evaluate options for NERI, and then you just specify that with the contractor, whoever's going to do the work.
you could. That's what we did for the MSBA. But
Because I think you're right. I think you're going to
people want, I think, some clarity in terms of what they're getting.
Yeah.
I think what we learned from last town meeting was exactly people want choices.
And these are the choices we think they wanted. So Eric, I thought that is where
I'm
you were
with you.
landing.
All I'm saying is it's clear to me, and I get the point around the numbers. I get what we're trying to achieve, but if we think there's going to be just mass confusion, just get the money. You kind of know what you want to look at, a smaller version and a bigger version of an NERI renovation. But if you think it's needed in language, so be it. But it seems like we're worried about confusion at the meeting.
Are you
We
talking
are.
about the $15 million cap?
No, he's talking about the saying we need $999,000 to study various options to solve our NERI problem without listing what those options are. And I think then you just generate a whole lot of.
No,
I
I'm
think it's
sorry,
more
Kathy.
confusing.
I'm talking specifically to Article 1, just saying we'll be evaluating options for renovating NERI versus getting into this. Look, again, it's clear to me. I'm just thinking ahead based on your feedback. Everything is going to, people are literally going to try to split this into two different options.
They could. Well, Eric, the reason is because there's two people in select board that are dug in on doing option 2 also.
Also, I believe, and I think somebody said it already, given the amount of heat around this article, and there have been lots of people saying that how could we consider a project without fire suppression systems and things like that, that not listing them will simply create hours of debate of what are we going to look at here? And I think that listing them is probably a good idea.
Yeah, again, I agree with it 100%. I'm just asking it more just to maybe challenge if you think it's going to be, it's going to be chaotic probably no matter
Eric, we're trying to get a 5-0 vote in the select board, and this is what we had to do to get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, so I still believe that we need to address two things here. One is the wording of option 2 to make sure that it's clear. I mean, we obviously had two different understandings right on this call. And then, I still think that we're going to at least need to be able to describe the relationship between 4 and 1 so that people understand what happens if one passes and the other doesn't, or one does and the other doesn't. Otherwise, there's again going to be infinite amounts of discussion.
Yeah,
Well,
Larry,
if
go.
if one passes, we could simply postpone 4,
No,
right?
Marguerite, they want to do the roof right away. Remember, the roof is, they want
Right.
the roof to start July 1st.
Right, right.
And they have talked to, the consultant has said, this is how you'll be able to keep that roof, even with the renovation. You're not throwing money away.
Yep.
They've
Right.
talked about how you'd have certain contractors, the warranty would still survive. So no, they want to do that roof the minute July 1st gets here and the kids are out of school.
Right, and
And don't-
schools didn't want to put the roof article simply as the first article. They wanted to leave it last, which I'm not sure about, but there it is.
And don't forget, it's a borrow article as well,
Mhm.
Article 4.
It is.
So, Marcy, do we want to go through all of the articles and then vote, or do you want to vote on them one by one?
I think, well, I think we should talk about 2 and 3 and take a vote. I think we've really covered Article 1 and 4 pretty much already.
Yeah, and I would say
Yes.
when we vote on Article 1, it would be with the amendment that they clarify the language here to make sure it's very clear that
Yeah.
$15 million is inclusive of ADA and the cost of the roof if required.
Sounds good. Next up is Article 2. And basically, hold on, my notes here. This is transfer of free cash not to exceed 500,000 to fund a 2-phase feasibility study with all the design, planning, et cetera, of both Trotter and Finn. For the quick summary. So this is look at both Trotter and Finn. That came up a lot at the last town meeting, and in a lot of discussions as well about, do we know the feasibility of using Trotter and Finn and closing Neary? So
What are the
that
2
is-
phases?
I don't think it's defined here. 2-phase feasibility. I think that just means, hold on, let's see here. Let's see. I didn't read.
Phase 1. will
Oh,
include
no
buildings
longer
and
being used as a
roads.
school. Basically, Neary is no longer going to be used as a school. Phase 1 of the study will include building system capacity analysis and land and wetland surveys for both schools. Phase 2 would include schematic design, architectural and engineering work, preliminary site development, and
Got it.
Plans and cost
Sorry, I should have
Yeah.
looked. Yeah, I don't think you need the D on phased, however.
Is there a way to spend less money on this to just do phase 1?
Well, if phase 1 says it's not possible, it stops there.
Stops there, we're gonna spend all the money, right? Okay,
Let's hope
Well,
not.
then, the contract should basically take that 500K and say, if you stop, after phase 1, it shouldn't be 500K. So it really should be much less if the land study really says you just can't do this for whatever reason. So we should not have to pay 500K for that.
I would suggest, I would request that goes into the contract somewhere,
I agree. Totally agree.
Right.
Totally agree.
So
What's
the breakdown for that was 160,000 for the site study, 240 for the building, and 100,000 for the project manager.
OPM. Yeah, so it'd be 160 plus whatever the OPM share of that is. So it sounds like we already know
240
what it
might
would be.
out. Yeah.
Well,
That might be.
we have to go out to bid.
Right, but that may be something you want to tell town meeting too.
Yeah.
Or not, depending on how you want to.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like if we stop at phase 1, we estimate
Right.
it would cost 200,000. If we complete both
240
phases, we
the
estimate,
240 won't be
whatever.
spent,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And the only reason I say that is I know there was a large vocal community that is interested in this one, but for
Right.
me, just speaking, I guess on the record, but if we're putting a new roof on Neary and we have no choice, for me, there's no reason not to just keep Neary rolling. It's one of the options in one, but that's.
Because you're right, Howard. If you did that project, you would throw away the Neary money. At least, I guess you keep Neary open as something, right? But then you have to spend more money on Neary to keep it open. So that cost will be added to this as far as renovating Neary. You still renovate Neary if you're going to keep it as a town building, and you still have things that have to do to it. One thing too that may influence the people who thought that we could move people to Finn and Trotter is that the work over the summer that the K through 8 committee did, it's an estimate. And it's an estimate. They based it on some work that they had looked at. The cost to doing this is significant. It's not zero, which is what I think a lot of people thought at the May special town meeting. So it may influence that group as far as going this way when they understand that this might cost more than renovating Neary.
But my concern in telling them the split of the numbers, there is a contingency that is concerned about the site at Neary. And I don't think we're going to change their mind that Neary has to go. And that's right. So to tell them they may be willing to spend the $200,000 to get the study to see if it's feasible, yes or no, may be worth it to some people because they're so concerned about groundwater in the site at Neary that they may want to look at that. But at
You're right.
500,000, that may, I just want to give the full story. That's all.
And from a wording point of view, I'm just trying to make sure I'm reading it correctly. In the summary, the very last sentence, if feasible, the way that's written, it sounds like it's saying if phase 2 is feasible, and what you're really saying is if phase 1 indicates feasibility, then phase 2 will. So I think that's a little
I
bit.
agree that
unclear.
should be worded better than it is. So Larry, I agree we should change that wording to make that clearer that if feasible is modify, it's phase 1, not phase 2.
Yeah.
And so if what you would put in place of that is if phase 1 indicates feasibility, then phase 2 will include blah blah blah.
Or something
Marguerite,
like
are
that
you making
is what I
notes? Are you
thought.
making
Yes,
notes so
I
we can
am.
get?
I'm
Okay,
making
all right,
notes
good.
right over here.
I'm not.
Can I ask another ridiculous question, which I apologize now, may stir the pot a little bit? Since we're coming back with Article 1, let's just assume everything passes. Article 1 comes back with the choice to do option 1 or 2. At that meeting, did we come back with an option? Article 2 said it was feasible. Do you want to spend the money to do the schematic design? Or do we have to do it all now?
We're doing the schematic design now. This is what this is going to fund. They're going to end up with schematic designs on all 3 of these options, assuming Article 2 and Article 3 are feasible to go a step further. So we're trying to, schematic design will let us cost it out. We're trying to get to an estimated cost to bring forth so people can make a decision given cost was such a driving factor of the failed vote. So we are doing schematic design on all 3 of these.
Hey,
Okay.
Kathy, can I ask though, your select board not supporting it, is it they don't support spending the money to get the data, or they don't support the option in of itself?
They
No, select
they
board.
want,
not-
well, it's true. So, and understand this was school committee same way. So neither group, except for one vote on select board, supports these options. But Eric, based on remember on our conversation, that we had, we think we should bring it forth and let the town decide whether they want to do this. But the individual members of the select board, except for one, don't support either option, nor do they want to spend the money on doing this. They think,
Okay, that's the point.
okay, so it's both. It's both.
And the school committee, same way. 2 and 3, we just did not favor, with one exception.
Yeah. So Eric, I think the question is if we, go along with that, we have to take the vote, obviously, but if we vote not to support Article 2 and 3, my suggestion would be to take that $824,000 that we took out of the budget, add it back in.
Yeah. So I think that the fundamental point here is whether it's about getting the numbers for choice. I mean, that's ultimately where you're getting, because otherwise you're just funding one option only. You're still back in the trap of people raising their hands, say, well, what about other options? You didn't look at them.
Isn't 3
But Eric, then they need to vote.
though?
They need to vote to pass these, and they
Exactly.
have a chance to vote,
Exactly.
right?
I'm with you, which I appreciate staying on, by the way, Kathy, based on our conversation. I get it. I'm with you 100%.
And I did this because of your and my conversation, FYI. So anyway, here we are, guys. We individually may not support this, but it's your choice. Do you
Can
want
I
to-
interject?
Isn't
Can I ask a
Hello.
question? Go ahead. Who's that? Can't even
This
see.
is Tim.
Tim, hi, Tim. Sorry, I couldn't see the screen.
Hi. Thank you. Yeah, option 3 is not included in option 2.
Correct.
Really?
They are
They
they are
both,
very different options.
Right.
they're both talking
Option-
about the expansion.
So
And-
let me tell you, option 2 is about moving 5th grade to Trottier and 2nd grade to Finn. Option 3 is about leaving Trottier alone and making Finn pre-K through 3.
Yep.
And,
It says
and
that.
closing Neary, both of those close Neary.
Both close Nary, but they're very different plans, and one doesn't include the other.
But
Correct.
we couldn't pass both of them.
Oh, you could pass them both and we could study them all and come back and say, this one costs 40 million, this one costs 30 million, this one
Yeah.
costs 50 million. So yes, you could come back with schematic designs and estimates on all 4 options, 1 and 2 on the first one, number 2 and number 3. So you certainly could do that if these all pass. That's what will happen if they all pass. We'll come back with 4 numbers.
But
Yeah, I
don't
think it's the price tag is all we're going to get out of this, really.
I still don't understand why Article 3 isn't included in Article 2.
Because Article 2 is not looking at making Finn a 4-grade school.
It's making it look like as a 3-grade school.
Adding
Uh,
1 grade. So right now it's already pre-K to 1, so it's already 3, I guess, a kindergarten. So it's already, it's kindergarten first and pre-K. So you would add 1, so you'd add 2nd grade, and then you would put 5th grade. That's one choice. And then the other choice is forget Trottier, leave Trottier alone. It's still 6 through 8, and build a 4-grade school at Finn. And you'd have Finn, Woodward, and Trottier.
Kathy,
That's right.
I want to, can you
So-
hold on a second? I want to call on Tim because he's had his hand up and he's actually he's in favor of both of these articles. Tim, you want to comment?
Yeah. So you were just right with that last statement about pre-K through 3, and it would be actually, I believe, 5 grades when you consider all of them together, right? Not 4 with pre-K. So that option was one of the things we heard loudest before in town about having the school on the south side. And I think long term, that option would give us the most financial viability long term and saving the most money, because that school will need investment longer. I was supportive of keeping it because I do think that when you think about the bigger picture, the numbers that we saw over the summer were about 10 million more than maybe a Neary option. And then that would allow this to maybe be only 10 million more to solve a longer term school problem within the town. So
Right,
that
but
was
why-
my rationale for keeping this here and wanting to see where the numbers would go.
Why are we spending hundreds of thousands of dollars doing 2 separate feasibility studies on Finn School, one to make it a 4-grade school and one to make it a 5-grade school?
So don't get hung up on the school. Get hung up. You think about it in terms of configuration. Where are the grades going? That's how the school board thinks about it, right? So what we have here is we have really 3 different options. The first one of which focuses on Neary, but the other 2 take Neary out of the picture and they say, how do we configure the remaining 3 schools, right, for these options?
Right. No, I understand that. The point is that though that we're going to be doing 2 separate feasibility studies
Right. So
on Finn
I don't know.
School.
well,
It just-
Finn will be different.
Think-
Finn will look
Larry,
different.
there is some crossover, and they've said, if both pass, we're going to reduce the cost by 80,000 because there is some commonality between what you got to do for Article 2 and Article 3. And don't forget with what Tim Fling just said, yes, making Finn a 4-grade school is very expensive, but you haven't dealt with what you do with Neary at that point. Do you raise it? Do you make it a town building? So if you're going to make a town building, you've spent the money on the roof, you got to add that to it, and anything else you got to do to keep it functional. So that number is not even in anything anybody's looked at yet.
No. So 2 and 3 both should say after them, Neary School goes offline.
I think it says it in there.
It does that in the summary somewhere.
It says
Yeah.
in the summary of the second one, but it doesn't say it in the summary of Article 2.
It does right there.
Does it? Did they change it?
That's right. She's got it
Article 2.
highlighted.
Maybe you mean Article 3. Is it not in order? Yeah, it is. It's in both.
Yeah, they should use the same, word. Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you. Sorry.
So Tim, perhaps you can, because you were on the committee, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. Do we have an insight? The school committee did not support 2 and 3. Did they not support it for educational reasons or financial reasons?
So we can go back to the work done over the summer. And of the work that was put out, which is 4.20, if you looked at the letter that Al and I wrote, it's linked there as well. So it's relevant and out there again. These are all supported. None of these options were not supported by the school committee in one way or another. Some of them are meets with trade-offs, and some of them were completely green as meets. Finn was the only option. Finn pre-K to 3 was the only option that was completely green across the board. There was no meets with trade-offs on this particular weigh-in. All the other ones had some kind of.
This may be semantics. They said that option 2 or Article 2 and Article 3 do meet the educational plan of the district. They just don't like those options. They support option Article 1. That's what they prefer. That's their project. That's why they voted against the other two.
Which I find interesting because the original one put more grades together, and they were touting the advantages of putting more grades together, and now we're talking the option that keeps Neary open and keeps it the way it is.
Well, Howard, some other points. I would think the fifth grade at Trotter raised some eyebrows, right?
Yeah,
So that
didn't
that's
fit in. Yeah, it did. It was
right.
not a good fit with it.
They're just not that's one point. And then I guess the right way to say it is the Finn location, given where it is. I think because I talked to Greg about this, they would prefer to invest more in Neary than Finn. But to Tim's point, these all meet the educational needs, but they clearly have a preference. That's the base.
Let me just add one
It's
thing.
a new
about
fourth
the
grade
Finn
school. They're not going to get that. But they looked at the school in Northborough that Greg Martineau was involved in. It's a 2-grade school. It's been renovated. It looks great. So they've seen it happen where you really ended up with a really good school, even when you just did a complete renovation. So that's kind of their model. So, their preference was a new 4th-grade school. They're not going to get that. So now they're going to their next best option, which they think is they're trying to find one that they think they can get a 2/3 vote. And they're hoping that it's going to be
Okay.
Now, this might have been said already, but why didn't the select board support either of these?
because one person did, Mr. Fling did, so he can tell you why, but the other 4, we want Neary renovated. We think that's the right option for the town. We think it's the easier one. You can get it done much faster. There's a lot of legwork already been done. The next 2 are going to take a while to get done because there's a lot more to them. They're more complicated. So we think one, and I personally think one is the less expensive of the 3 too. We'll see when the numbers come out. So for a variety of reasons, we think that's where the parents are today as far as the project that they want. If you were to take a vote of just parents that have kids in schools. We know the school committee wants that one, so that's important to us.
As I understood it,
We want this to get done fast. We want it to get done fast. We've been talking about this. I've been on a committee since 2013, considering the school. So it needs to get done. And with the complications that Finn and the land and trotting the septic and having to do all the rearranging there to make 5th grade separate. We just think that Article 1 is much simpler. It does do the trick as far as the education requirements that the school committee is looking for. So for that, we just don't, but based on discussions with some of you, in my case with Mr. Glazer, we do believe that given the criticism of the failed project, which, was a few things, some people didn't like the site. A lot of people didn't like the cost. Some people wanted Finn to stay open and not closed, that we are saying, okay, we think that 1 is a better project, but here it is. If you really want to study 2 and 3, this is your chance to vote for them.
The other part of it that I recall is Greg Martineau saying that the 5th grade teachers are linked in the curriculum with the elementary teachers. And if they go over to Trotter, it's going to involve teachers having to go back and forth between one side of town and the other, basically, if they're in the 5th grade curriculum. So when he says educationally possible, he means that you can do it, but it will be enormously inconvenient and stressful for the way that the educational system is set up for the elementary kids. And I think that's one of the reasons the school committee didn't support 2, I mean.
I will add on to, just to be clear that I'm saying the correct thing. the only way that the school committee said to support this over the summer during the pre-K through 8 work was if additions were put on these buildings. So that would be, the one caveat that I would clarify here, that if that option would go forward, the expectation is that more space would be added to those buildings.
Right. I think that's what the study's for, right? To show how.
It would confirm that. I just want to be clear today, transparent, that that's how they would have supported it over the summer. So I don't want it to come across in any other way. Is that there's an expectation that the buildings are not big enough as they are. The study would then reconfirm that assumption, or would, give that its due diligence, and then the rest of it would then be supported because the space needs would be met.
I think we're all interested to see how these feasibility studies come out, actually.
Then why is the vote 4-1 against?
Marguerite, you voted against doing
If they
2 and 3,
pass.
whatever.
Yes,
Right? Why is the vote
because I don't
4-1
like
against?
spending. I don't like spending the money, frankly. I'm interested, but not enough to spend $500,000.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any further questions right now? Like, we're almost an hour in, I think.
Yeah.
Andrew, was that you?
No,
I
I was
don't
just
want
saying,
to cut anyone off.
I'm ready. I think I've
Okay.
exhausted it. I'm ready to vote.
All right. So
All right.
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just got one more thing to add to the budget. So why don't you vote and then we'll sign off.
Okay.
I want to go back and make sure it's clear about Karina Quinn because there's something I need to tell you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve Article
So
1?
I move that advisory supports Article 1 in the draft warrant with the caveat that the $15 million is inclusive of ADA or the cost of the roof if those are also, or the cost of the roof if those are also appropriated.
Okay, I've got those notes, so yes.
Yeah. And the language is clarified thereof.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Howard?
Aye.
Aye. Eric?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Larry? Is Larry still
Aye.
here?
Aye.
Okay. Tim Martell?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Marcy is aye. All right, so unanimous support from advisory on that one.
Okay.
All right, Article 2.
I don't think we had any edits to this one, right? So it was just as is. So I
Well,
move
we did to the summary, but not to the article.
Yeah, the summary. I mean, they could change the summary whenever they want. It's not binding, I don't think.
And that change was simply instead of if feasible, it would say if phase 1 indicates feasibility, comma, then phase 2 will include schematic design.
That would be fine.
So I move that advisory supports Article 2 with that caveat that Marguerite just gave.
All right.
Second.
Do you have a second? All right. Any further discussion before we vote? Yeah.
No, I'm still torn.
Howard?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really give my 2 cents on this, but I've been following this pretty close, obviously.
Okay.
I really have a problem with expanding Trottier, and we've mentioned this on some of our other due to the issues with the septic, what we have there, whether or not it's even possible to expand it, and with the wetlands and all the stuff we've had to do over the years to get that approved. I just don't think the site is worth throwing good money after bad. And then Finn, again, a school being that close to the highway. I mean, there's a lot of literature that within that many 100 yards of a major highway, the air pollution is just not, in California, would not be allowed. So I don't want to spend, again, more good money after bad building a larger school at that location. But again, that's my 2 cents.
May I ask, so on Article 2, can it be split where or clarified where what the cost would be for the first part of the feasibility? So in other words, the $500,000, I mean, that is a big number for sure, right? And I think there's too much money to spend on an option where I don't think it's ultimately going to be feasible. But if it were less money to get to the first part and say, look, we'll figure that out, maybe it makes it more palatable for the part of the town that would be interested in that.
Yeah, that's what I asked Eric when we started this, if there was a
Yeah.
way to.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed
No,
those.
no, it's
You
fine.
could break it up
I-
into two feasibilities. You could say, let's do the first phase in one contract, and if we finish that, then do another one. Or I think we could put in the summary, because again, if you don't do the first part, then you get to the second. We could
But a
just
dollar, make it more specific.
the
around
estimate
dollar.
in the summary, the estimated phase one cost is, I think it was like 240 plus the OPM. So call it, I don't know, 300.
Yeah.
And then the second phase is 200. I don't know.
You
Okay.
could certainly add the details of the cost there so people would understand that you may not spend 500, you may spend 300 and stop, or 200 and stop.
Well, it's 240 and then whatever
Yeah.
the
So
OPM,
300
whatever. I said 300, 200 is probably pretty close.
Yeah, so I'm torn on this one, Andrew, I'm not sure I share your concerns. I think that's what the feasibility study is for, to show us if the septic can do it and if the site can handle it or not. I hate throwing the money at it just for no reason, because I think, like I said, once we put a roof on Neary, to just abandon that is just, wasteful. But the town wants options. So is it our job to just, financially, I would vote no, but, and I guess we could do that, but it's up to the town to decide if they want to spend the money for this, right? So,
I mean,
Yeah,
there's plenty of
but-
articles that I
Howard-
voted no on, not to support on advisory, and then voted
Yeah.
to support personally.
Okay, Howard, this is different. Forget select board and school committee. This is your job, is to recommend to
Hey,
town meeting
Kathy,
what you
I'm
think
I'm
they
sorry
should
to
do.
interrupt. Kathy, advisory's in the middle of voting.
Okay, sorry, okay, sorry, Tim.
Thank you.
yeah, and
All right.
I'm torn on the,
Yeah.
all right, I'm good. Thank you.
I mean, looking at
And
these,
Larry.
looking at these two together, I don't like Article 2 because it would imply that we want to do two construction projects, which just strikes me as being incredibly disruptive, whereas Article 3 actually makes a lot more sense to me as an alternative to renovating Neary, because it's basically a single construction project on a single school. And in the end, I think it would, assuming we did not do Neary, it would be less costly and less disruptive than trying to make two schools bigger. That's sort of where I'm coming down on this.
All right. Any further comments before we vote?
Marcy, should
Go
I
ahead.
amend my motion to ask for the language of the cost to be in the summary?
You could.
Yeah.
You
All
could.
right. So amended.
All right.
And that
All
would
right.
be,
Roll.
phase one will be 260 and phase two will be 240.
All right. With the amendments in mind, we will vote now on Article 2 as written in the warrant.
With amendments.
With amendments, sorry. Tim Martell?
Nay.
Nay. Larry?
Nay.
Nay. Barry?
No,
Nay. Eric?
Aye.
Aye. Howard?
Nay.
Nay. Andrew?
Nay.
Nay. And Marcy is nay. All right. 6 nay, 1 yes.
Great.
All right. Article 3. Do you have a motion for Article 3?
I don't think we need any edits to this one, right? There's no phases. No. Okay. So I move advisory supports Article 3 as printed in the draft form.
Second.
Any further discussion on Article 3? All right. Hearing none. Howard?
Nay.
Eric?
Aye.
Barry?
nay,
Larry?
Yes.
Tim?
Aye.
Andrew?
Nay.
Marcy is nay. All right. 1, 2,
So
3,
it's
4. 4
4, 3.
no. And 3 yes. All right. Last but not least, Article 4. Neri roof and ADA upgrades.
My
Very much.
only concern with this is the language here in terms of, so we're approving 6.85, but we don't know what the ADA is and we don't know what the roof is in this, right? We're basically approving a lump sum that's supposed to take care of both of those.
And Kathy indicated that it's not a slam dunk that we're going to have to do the ADA.
I think it's much more likely than not that you're not going to trigger it, based on my conversation with Mr. Sabelli. And that was 2 days ago.
Should we just put this one on pause till our next meeting until the language gets cleaned up? Or
The
See,
roof estimate is pretty clear according to the SoCo tech
I
people.
mean, if we want, we can amend it to say, put the roof amount and take out the associated ADA language and say that's what we're voting on. But I don't know what, I mean, I would prefer you, the select board and school committee to go back and rewrite this article.
Okay.
you know, not, or at least put a not to exceed number for all but yeah, it's,
So I think what I'm hearing is we're going to maybe pause on voting on this one tonight.
Do we want to take a straw poll
Or
if we
straw
are in
poll
favor
vote.
of the roof?
On the change of language? Yep. Okay.
Maybe.
Does everyone agree to that?
Sure.
Thoughts? Okay, straw poll vote. Article 4.
Well, it's straw poll vote if advisory in theory would be in favor of an article to for the roof to do a
Sure.
30-year roof at 4 point.
There.
Oh, we had it on the other slide. 4.25 million, I believe.
All right.
That was
I'm
good,
down
yeah.
to 4.5, but okay.
4.5.
All right. We will do a roll call straw poll vote. Howard,
I,
Eric,
If I can use a qualifier in the strongest terms, absolutely.
Barry,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Marcy is aye.
So I think, yeah, once we get the language cleaned up there, we're good to go.
I don't think we have a choice on that one, right? So,
I don't either. This is called the backed into the corner article.
I did mention on the select board meeting last night that I just like making sure that we answer the questions of people that say, hey, you know, why can't we do a 5-year roof if we're only going to get rid of this building? We need to be very
Right.
clear on all why that's not a good option, that the 30-year roof is the way we should go. You know, the economies of scale, whatever reason, but I don't want to get into because it is, you know, we should
from
really
my
have some.
understanding from last night's meeting, the consultants are available for a town meeting to answer those questions.
Right.
too. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, they said it would be in the report. I just, you know, we
Yeah.
need to make a 1-pager there to lay out to people the optionality and why certain options were not included. Just like I don't want to get into the same issue from the first
Oh,
school
yeah.
project.
And the pictures they showed were pretty compelling argument all by themselves.
They are. They are. All right. Wrapping up this piece, heading back over to the budgets. I know select board wants to adjourn, and Kathy, you mentioned you had a comment about something we've already spoken about. So you want to talk about the planning board
Yeah, and
request?
2 things. One thing, Andrew, did you mention what we're doing for now as far as the healthcare premium cost?
I
We didn't
did
get to that
not,
yet.
but it's down here.
Yeah, so we've assumed it's a 500K savings. We're really hoping it's a lot more. We're working on it. So right now we have used 500K as a savings in this. Hopefully it will get bigger. We'll know in the next week or so. Okay, so back to the, so is Barry still here? So Barry, what
Yeah.
happened? I actually talked directly to Jason Malinowski. I called him to see what was going on with Karina's position. So her position hasn't changed. She's town planner now. She's would be town planner tomorrow. But they don't want to do these one-off changes. It's like you would think. They want to wait to the next study and then see what the study says. So they said no when they were asked to do it by planning board. So that's when planning board decided they would try to put her on a contract to achieve what they wanted to 7/1/26 rather than wait. So that's the facts as far as what happened here. And remember, we've got a 25K warrant article to approve the study. So hopefully that's going to pass and they'll get right to the work to start the study. I think a year early this time, Barry, instead of 2 years, 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year early. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got more requests than this. This is not the first one. They've got a request for Tammy Rice and DPW. So they've just gotten one-off requests. They don't want to do it that way. They want to do it the right way and have the study to back up what they decide to do. So that's their plan, and that's why they said no to the request from the planning board.
That seems like a slippery slope to me. If we start that kind of process in town, you'll be having all kinds of requests off, outside of planning personnel.
Well, that, and if you're
So-
gonna try and go around it and do a contract instead of letting personnel do their job, right? I don't like that either. So,
I mean, can I ask you a
Yeah.
dumb question?
That's
Is
really
that
what I
even-
mean.
Is that even allowed? Maybe dumb question, but
Yeah,
how do
it
you go
actually
around?
is. So Eric, that position will stay on the SAP even if they do a contract. But for example, the current building inspector, we did a contract with him on purpose because we needed to, because we couldn't, what we had to pay him to get him hired was above what was in the SAP. So we did do that to get him into this town. But that's different. I mean, this is a current employee that we're talking about. So I agree with Marcy. I mean, you've got Barry sitting here who knows his stuff left and right. So he can say this better than I can for sure.
is her position out of line with the trend in the surrounding towns? I know we haven't done the study yet, but
That's what we're going to find out. So
Yeah. And Howard, I did a quick Gov salary search, and I think maybe like the city of Boston planner makes that much, but but again, like the study will do that work, right? We wait a year, they'll do the market analysis and do all the stuff and come back with the correct number, and we'll go through the regular process. But I think
I'm
jumping
all
the
for
gun.
that. I'm just don't want to lose anyone. Why we wait either. I mean, it is what it is. Just
It's a scary precedent to set too.
I agree. I agree with the process. I'm just looking
It is.
from outside.
I believe
it
the
is.
25K is going to come out of free cash, or we mean to do it that way, even if it's not done yet. And so they can start on the study the day after town meeting, April 12th. And so therefore they could bring any needed adjustments to the fall town meeting. So this is not that long of a delay if there does need to be an adjustment.
Okay. I'm all for the process. I'm just, if we know it's, well out of whack, then, maybe there's a different conversation. But if we have no inkling, then there's no.
Yeah, I'm
So
not sure why
Right.
suddenly it would be so far out of whack. I
Mhm.
mean, it wasn't that long ago that we did do a study. So to be a jump 2 grades is pretty significant change.
Mhm.
I'm just all in favor of following the processes we have and the guidelines we have and not making exceptions, because these kind of things come up more than you would think.
Yeah. In
Eric,
that case, we just get rid of the SAP and just do contracts for everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Well, there are several people who do believe that their salary should be adjusted. There's one, I mean, Tammy Rice, that one's been requested specifically by Bill Cundiff. That one they rejected too. But there are others that I think we know about that also think it should be adjusted. And we've said to them, you got to wait for the next study. So
All right. Thanks.
So-
Thank you. Any other comments from select board?
So after those changes, we are in the black by $111,000.
Oh.
Marguerite, you want to adjourn us?
Yes, do I have a motion to adjourn the select board meeting? It is 8:19.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, okay. Ms. Cook
Aye.
and Mr. Fling
Aye.
and Marguerite is an aye. And thank you very much, advisory.
Thank
Thank you
And
for
it's-
coming.
It's always a pleasure to see you guys. Seriously, you know where my heart
Thank
is.
you.
So thank you for everything you did tonight. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Aye.
Bye.
Hey, Andrew, you said you put it in the black. So what changes, what tweaks did you make?
So I just changed so in free cash, we had taken out the full 999, which is the three of them added together with actually 80,000 taking. So the initial assumption they had is that all three articles would be approved.
Right.
And they told us the other day, the consultants, that if we did all three, there actually would be like an $80,000 savings between 2 and 3 because they both use the same site plans for Finn. So that's basically the 919. Originally it said free cash reduced 919. So I just changed it to the free cash reduced for the 175, assuming that Article
Yeah.
1.
In other words, options 2 or Articles 2 and 3 are not included. So if you threw Article 3 back in only, given as what, 230 or what was that, 3 and change?
Yeah, so 324, that would put us into a override.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
we could probably play, I mean, that's close enough that we could probably play with the benefits budget, or, maybe we lease one of the trucks, we could probably play a game to get there. But yeah, I think.
And
And
also if
ultimately,
the schools came through on some of the cruisers,
Yeah,
et cetera.
I think we're still carrying Algonquin at 7%, and they might get down to 5%, right? So I mean, if we did that, just to.
But as a most practical matter, I mean, it comes down to if folks want those studies, and
Correct.
they'll get them funded. If they don't want to pay for them, then they don't want to pay for them, and it's their choice. And so move on, and we'll figure out what we got to do for the kids.
Exactly. But I think from a forecast perspective, okay. But if we, say that Algonquin does get down to 5%, which Greg really hopes for, that's no override and less than a 5% increase on the single family value. I think in what is so I went to the MMA conference last week. And I went to one of the healthcare, they have a healthcare panel with somebody from MIA, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and AFL-CIO. And the other people in the room, other towns, were like, we had a 40% increase, and then we had a 40% increase mid-year on top of the healthcare across the state. There was no good answer. It was just basically, it's the pricing, right? They're like, it's not the utilization, it's the pricing. And they said the only thing you can really do is, try to get people to go to primary cares instead of the emergency room. And, so some of those kinds of things you could do. And I think the select board right now is trying to add a higher deductible plan too, that younger people might be interested in, because they get money in an HSA, but it would save us some money. So I think, but anyway, so I think everybody in the state is definitely in a budget issue. There was a good article on MMA's website, mma.org, on they call it the perfect storm, but it talks about government, unrestricted government aid coming down, federal money coming down, healthcare and other costs increasing from inflation, and then having Prop 2.5 basically not giving you enough levy capacity to keep with inflation. That basically, the fact that we haven't had a override since I've been on advisory, and I don't think the town has had one in, 15 years or so. I don't know, Larry, or if you remember the last time we had one, but I can't.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So we're it's basically almost miraculously that we've made it this long. Most towns have gone through an override or multiple.
So Andrew, let me just, so I understand, if the town votes for all of the articles and the free cash to support that,
correct,
we would then be looking at an override unless we cut other things from the budget. So between March 2nd and April 4th.
Correct. Unless we did something, adjusted something. And again, we should have Algonquin's budget by then, and who knows if the schools can do something,
Right.
They also, we got the cherry sheets from the governor's budget, but we haven't seen the other cherry sheets from the other ones. But those usually don't change that much. Maybe you get an extra 20, 30, 40 grand.
Right. And this would be almost $500,000 if all 4 of them, or a little over
$800,000.
Yeah.
Because it's 524.
Right, except that you've got a 301.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to put this back up to 7 on the schools, just because to be conservative and not play that game yet.
And Andrew, when it comes time for the March 2nd meeting and they vote on the articles, I mean, we're not going through the budget at that point, right? That'll be the follow-on meeting.
So that's just basically letting us know how much free cash we will have. So free cash right now is already been certified, and it is
3.3.
3.414.
So then how does that get messaged around that, right? Because at the end of the day, my position is let the voters decide if they want to do it. We won't be looking at the budget. So how does that come up? Somebody asks a question like, what's the impact? Or is well, we got.
I think you just say by approving this and taking it out of the free cash, because it's certified, you can spend it in this year. But it would roll into next year's free cash. Basically, by spending it out of free cash now, we're going to have less free cash to utilize for next year's budget, which means we're going to be starting at in a $919,000 hole,
Right.
which means we're going to have to make it up somewhere else in the budget, if there's an issue.
So we can explain that in our letter as well,
Okay,
assuming
Yeah.
advisory members support that. I think it's a really important point.
I agree with you. I completely, and again, give them the choice. And so, that being said, the vote then in March, that would be a 2/3, or would that be simple majority to approve the warrants?
The vote in March for the feasibility, I think, would just be a simple majority.
Yeah, so I think to your
Because
point,
it's not
Mark,
its
the
own,
key
yeah.
point is to make people aware of that. And there's financial
Yeah.
implications of doing this.
Article 4
Article 4 would be
would be 2/3
Yeah,
because it's a
yeah.
borrowing article.
I'm thinking more of the feasibility studies, just making sure that it's very clear to people that there are financial implications. And
Yeah.
if you again, if you want to complain about not having choice, then okay, then you put your money where your mouth is at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you could say, listen, this might trigger an override.
Yeah.
We could have also said, hey, well, we're going to take this out of free cash, but we're going to ask to override this amount
Yeah.
in the next election. Like we could put this 919 in town meeting and say we're also going to put it on the ballot as an override, as a capital article override.
But I mean, I think they talked about. I mean, you can't it's kind of hard to capitalize these items, right? Because it's not really.
Well, no, you wouldn't. It's a budget capital article, so it's just a one-time cost. So, there's two ways you can do an override. You can do an override that basically just increases your limit forever.
Okay.
Right. Then you can do a debt exception, which is basically we're just going to exclude this debt, and then the debt service every year doesn't get counted towards your levy. And then you can basically do a one-time purchase in cash to increase your levy, but the next year it falls off.
Got it. Fascinating.
So an important point for
Which I didn't know, and I've had to do a lot when we were looking at an override. I had to do a lot more understanding on what the heck that actually meant.
Well, I definitely think we would have hard discussions. I mean, we still may, even if we don't spend free cash on those studies. We still are going to have hard conversations to get where we want to be, but it'll be even harder, I think, without it.
Yeah, I think luckily, we were at a $2 million override when we started this. So
yeah,
you've done great work. Where do we stand on we had a lot of discussion on roads and a possible long-term article.
So and this is again where we need to have Brian do his 5-year forecast. We are still including the $25 million for roads and sidewalks. It includes the $2.7 million for the 4 sidewalks that they did the tree hearing the other night, and then the remaining 22.2 for the overall bond.
Wasn't that already approved? The sidewalks, didn't we do that on the last town meeting?
We approved the engineering, I think.
Okay, but
and then they just approved the trees. So now this is the actual cost for the actual sidewalks themselves.
Yeah. Okay. But if we're going to save somewhere, it's not my choice, but
yeah,
that's an easy target.
Well, you're not paying much in. Again, this is $440,000 of general fund debt in 2027, but that number in 2028, I calculate is 1.6 million. Right, because you're starting a partial year. You're only paying interest.
No, I get it.
It's one of those we might be able to sneak through with not having an override this year. We will definitely have one next year, just by what we're approving this year.
And that's the argument. Do you try and push it out a little longer? We're expecting new revenue sources coming in, Costco, hopefully, right? And that whole area being developed that's supposed to, with any, active whatever, that we're going to actually have some funds coming in that way that may allow us to avoid. But it's 2 years out.
That's going to take a while.
2027 was the last. So
exactly.
And that's
okay.
You know, the
We
full-
get money till 2028,
But,
right?
but the full build out could take 5 more years. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Costco on its own is just a portion of that $4 million estimate, right? That's really more when they do the full, you know,
Right.
the whole area.
We won't see even the Costco till
Good
2020,
news.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
But so we question, yeah, we're basically kicking it. But I think, you know, under 5% increase and not having to do an override, I guess it's a successful year. But yeah, there's some significant.
But next year, you know, and then again, once we decide what the school project is, these are just the feasibility studies,
Yeah.
right? There's a whole project coming after that. So, you know, this year, yes, we got 5%, whatever, but we don't want to be here next year knowing what we did this year, that now next year is like, whoa, you know, it's
And I don't know if we talked about the Fayetteville Park upgrade. Did we pull that?
No,
no,
I
we
don't
didn't.
think we did. We did not talk
do
about
that
it.
part.
Yeah, that might be one, Marcy, that we want.
Do we want to bring them in?
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, that's kind of like when we do
Okay.
the warrant kind of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I looked at it. I go to Fayetteville Park with Dottie like daily. I would love to have a splash pad and a dog park there, but
No.
they're not adding any parking, and it's a disaster there to begin with. So I can't support it unless parking is added. But you know,
But didn't we just upgrade that park not long ago? We had that, you know, trapezoid structure. We took down all the wood stuff and we put up the.
and that all stays. So it's from the, and even the basketball court stays. So it's from there over where the baseball field is, the t-ball field. So
Yeah.
the t-ball field comes out, and then it's the splash pad, and then the dog park. But it's all right on top of each other.
What do we lose without the t-ball field? Do we lose?
I think it's
Combination.
mostly used for practice because it's kind of such a small field. I remember there was something with that the baseball committee was kind of okay with it, but again,
Okay.
I think we should probably have Travis in and the rec commission and do a whole session on that article when we get to it.
All right, I'm going to put that down. I don't know if we wanted to talk more about the capital articles here.
Yeah, because I think that was the
But
only
one of my questions is who do we want to bring in to meet with
Yeah,
us?
'cause I think that was the only one that we didn't have at our budget summit. 'Cause I think we went over the rest of the capital stuff with the people that were there. Salary study is probably the other one, but that we didn't really talk about. I don't think I have a. We kind of talked about that. Probably not the
On the school systems, I made the statement at our Saturday meeting that at least the technology infrastructure one doesn't belong
Mhm.
on the capital. Do we know if I didn't see and I didn't get to watch the school committee, if they heated that at all and put that back in their budget, or would they revote it, or they just left it here?
I mean, if
I don't think they
it's
changed.
still in here, that
Mhm.
means they might not have a meeting to talk about it yet and send that to Brian. But my assumption is they haven't changed it. Then Brian hasn't changed it.
Because I'm
Yeah.
strongly opinionated that certainly doesn't belong in the capital.
Yeah.
The security systems I'm on the fence on, but the technology upgrades certainly. You know, I know that's a smaller number now, but they fly.
Yeah, I think the only we looked at the recreation capital fund. We talked a little bit about that. And then the 9/11 field, I think we talked about in the meeting of you know, there's rec revolving account, there's the 9/11 account, there's CPC or something that getting it paid by the general fund probably didn't make sense there.
Hey, Andrew, is there any state money or grant money for any of this rec stuff?
A lot. And I think they were the spray park. I think they were going to get some. I know that when they were doing the dog park on Lundblad, that was almost entirely grant funded. So I think we need to have Travis in and they can explain how it would actually work. Or again, you could also use CPC funds or CPA funds with CPC.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll put him down. We will, once we decide on dates for a few future meetings, I will connect with him and
Yeah, and
get him on our calendar.
I'm starting to follow the annual town meeting one, Marcy. It sounds like there's a lot of zoning stuff too.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Like a lot of ticky-tacky stuff, like moving a comma and things like that. But
Unless
you
it's
know.
not enough, there's going to be a very full agenda.
and we're going to probably have quite a few meetings.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at the schedule between now and.
But I think from
March 2nd, but
I think the
anyway.
question is, and Tim Fling, you're still on. Tim Fling, do you know when we need to sign the special town meeting warrant?
Special town meeting is next Friday. What is that? This 13th?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that's what the number was. I heard the 13th. I know that the select board is looking to sign it this week. So as long as the wording and everything's finalized, I think we're trying to have it signed.
So because we didn't vote on Article 4.
Yeah, so I think if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, because the date was 2/13 that was said.
Okay.
But and then Andrew said something about this Friday, so don't double check this, but 2/13 was the date that was said, and then somebody else said this Friday.
Okay. So do we want to, Marcy, just have at town meeting for that one and vote it, and we could put it on the screen at town meeting? I think ideally probably we'd want to have it in the warrant with the support, but I just think the language of the article needs to be cleaned up.
I mean, we could take a vote to clean up the language, pending the language cleanup. We support, I mean, I think we all support the roof.
Yeah. Okay. Should we do a support that the language is cleaned up and the amount for the roof does not exceed 4.5, right, Tim?
It was 4.25, I thought.
It was It's 4.5. It's
4.5.
4.96 and change. So yeah, the roof currently is estimated at 4.5. Then the 2.167 is the ADA number, which you had pulled out when you made your motion. And then there was a 70,000, if I remember correctly, 70,000 feasibility that we had voted on, which gave us a culmination of 6.85 total. That's what we voted on, but you guys were at the 4.
What was the feasibility for?
There was an addition of a feasibility number added, so that way, if there was anything else triggered as part of this 30% and ADA elements, we would know what the rest of that was.
Okay. So this was that seemed good.
So we were asking them to take out the whole ADA piece.
That's basically
what.
Or separate it into separate lines, but because how it reads basically is they could spend 6.7 million on the roof and 100 on ADA. It doesn't necessarily break out what the.
Why couldn't the ADA just be a separate article? Which
that's what I said. If it gets tripped, then we would do the ADA and you separate it out. But we also don't know, they could trip other code things, right? That's what the feasibility is.
Yeah, it's a multi-step path, but the expectation is that the current 4.5 million roof price is over the 4.2, which is the 30% threshold. So unless the assessment of the building goes up or the roof cost goes down, the expectation is that you will trip the 30% threshold, which requires ADA compliance. So the way that the school did it is, if you trip that compliance, you need to have a plan forward. It doesn't have to happen at the same time as the roof, but it has to have a plan for it as part of that guidance. So the idea was, if you approve the ADA as part of this article, you have a plan in place to start to take care of it, assuming you trip it. Yeah. Because the expectation is you will trip it today.
Okay. But again, hopefully the assessor can reassess it at amount that doesn't trip it.
Well, on a happening roof, it should go up, right?
Exactly, $4.5 million.
That's right.
And then
Go ahead.
I'll just add to that. When you pull the permit is when the assessment comes out. So when the permit's pulled for the project, that's at the point the assessment becomes locked to what the project cost would be to the assessed value.
And it's the pre-project assessment, not the post-project assessment.
Yeah.
I was just being funny, guys. I'm just.
We're trying anyway.
So, sorry, I've been in a little bit, so I'm just.
Yeah, I
being
mean, we could, well, this is special town meeting, right? So if this goes through and whatever, we could also have one at annual town meeting just on the ADA or any other code that needs to be upgraded, or a special town meeting in the fall, right?
So
I think it sounded like from the consultants that we have like a year or two to kind of
That was
do
my
the work
question.
and have a plan.
But the flip side of that, though, is, and I think this is what Tim was saying, is that if this does trip the circuit breaker, then there's really no choice that we have. So having a separate warrant article causes a problem, because if it's voted down, then I mean, it can't be voted down. We're required to do it. So I think that's why lumping it in here sort of made sense.
But
You could have another sentence that says if ADA is triggered. I mean, we think it would be, but and add that cost separate, I think.
But again, it's you have a period of time for the triggering to happen, two, for the compliance to be done.
Okay.
Right. So it sounded like, I mean, it's not like you have to approve in order to do the work. You have to make sure you have the money available to do it. You have to basically have a plan in place, which, to be honest, is the feasibility study on the other side that says, listen, we're doing the roof now, but we're also doing a feasibility study to do the ADA. So if you do both of those and, in parallel, you're kind of covering that requirement.
All right. Well, maybe this makes sense.
The only challenge I have with that is the transparency to town meeting. Somewhere you got to tell them if the ADA is tripped, it's going to cost another check, right? Same thing, like we're talking like police, we added all these steps. Oh, now we need cars for them. Oh, by the way, and same thing. I don't want to get into, right? Hey, the roof triggered ADA. By the way, now we're going to ask you for another $3 million. You need to be up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably put in the summary like, this does not include, ADA. Any associated ADA cost if this roof cost ends up tripping any code compliance, whatever, right?
And the estimate for that, it will be
$2 million or whatever the number they have.
Again, I'm just for the transparency because
yeah. I mean, the summary can be changed, at any time.
I'm taking notes for our letter as well. I think we should add that.
But again, what happens if the ADA is triggered, which it sounds like the probability is pretty high, and let's just play devil's advocate. There's a warrant article on the next town meeting to basically borrow money for the $2.5 or $2.25 million for the ADA, and that warrant article is not passed.
I think they can. I think one, you can apply for a variance process to try to not have to do it, which I'm not suggesting. Two, I think they can just start fining you.
Right.
Here's another
it's kind of like,
so you're basically putting an article on the warrant that there's really no choice about.
We do that all the time, but yeah. So
like Breakneck Hill.
Yeah.
Are we going to approve this, or are we going to get fined?
Well, changing this is up to select board, right? I mean,
the select board has to change it. I'm just basically saying
we can vote, but
that we can vote to support an article like this that has a 4.5 number with the ADA stripped out.
So
that we don't have to have another meeting once they change the language.
I see.
But let's but devil's advocate another way. I agree with where we're going, but we have another article. We have several articles on there. Article 1 is the whole plan to, after we do the roof, what are we going to do with the building?
Yeah.
Isn't that enough of a plan that they're going to vote that anyway with the feasibility?
I think so.
And that's going to be a lot more than $2 million, right? It's going to be so there's already a plan in place. The other vote for the ADA, unless Article 1 is potentially defeated, then we will need to do another.
Yeah, I think if Article 1 is
right, Howard, the Article 1 is just a feasibility study. It doesn't guarantee anything's going to get funded at some future event, right? But yes, it clearly it implies a plan, but it doesn't mean the plan gets executed.
Correct.
Tim has his hand up. Tim?
But we don't need to approve the funding for ADA the second we approve what breaches it.
Right.
But go ahead,
Yeah.
Tim.
I could be wrong. It was pretty late in the meeting, so I could have just gotten this wrong. But I believe that there was, if one passed, when they got the 4, there was an opportunity to maybe pull ADA out because one would be part of the bigger project. So if I understood that correctly, I
Yeah.
need to go back and double check this. But I think Chelsea did mention the opportunity of pulling out ADA at that point and the feasibility money because they would already be kind of covered in what the path forward with Article 1 would be.
Right.
So I would go back and double check that. But there was a comment about that yesterday, and I forget the full explanation she gave.
Yeah, I remember that, Tim, and it made sense, but I just think the wording on the article isn't clear.
But that's my point is though, if we're going to pull it out and do it later, we'll based on one, assuming one passes, and I know that's an assumption, we would no longer need to bring back another funding because the funding of the once the feasibility study is done and we pass whatever that funding, that will cover the ADA that would be required by the roof hitting.
Yeah, well, assuming Article 1 passes and we get a feasibility
And then it's
study,
approved.
either option 1 or 2,
Yep.
and then we come back and get option 1 or 2 approved, which would include ADA in both situations, we'd be
But
good.
I would assume that is within the time frame of the requirement, and if not, we still have to bring back another article at that point. And
Correct. Yeah, I think your point, it would be, they really care about the plan, like that you have a plan in place to remediate it, which that feasibility study would be.
yeah, we're already jumping the gun on the feasibility. We're already ahead of you on the plan because we have an article at the same time.
Correct.
And then Andrea, maybe it's again question as a sort of a newbie. If the future funding event for a Neary school failed, you'd have to have a backup plan to address the ADA issue. So you would trigger.
We would,
that,
we would
right?
probably want to, if we brought both say option 1 and 2 to town meeting to vote, right, to do that project, whatever it is, right? Then we probably would want another article that says if you turn down both of option 1 and 2, option 3 is we're doing ADA because we tripped it and we have to do it.
Yeah,
But at that point in time, we would know whether or not we tripped it because we would have done the roof.
exactly.
Because we don't even know what the actual roof cost is because we haven't put out the bid.
We might not trip ADA to Kathy's point.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think it certainly should be in the footnote that this does not include any ADA compliant work that we may trip, and we're very close and it's going to be tight, but we might not trip it. We may trip it. If it is tripped, we'll deal with that when we get there.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to make a motion to approve pending
I make a
changes?
motion to approve Article 4 with the adjustment from what was written to a sum of $4.5 million just for the purpose of the repair and of the roof upgrades.
Do we have a
Second.
second? All right. Roll call vote. Eric,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Tim,
Larry,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
RC, aye. All right, unanimous vote for Article 4 pending language and number change. All right, we still, let's see, where are we at right now? We're at 8:48. We have a few items left on the agenda.
That should say
Some
seven.
of them, go ahead.
Say 7, not 5.
Yeah, okay. I changed it on my side.
Do we want to continue discussing any of the budget items tonight? I think one of the things for our upcoming meeting schedule is to determine, 1, who we want to have come in to meet with us, and 2, does anyone want to go meet with any of the department heads? I know, Howard, you mentioned you are, and also, any further questions we have on some of these. I mean, we'll have definitely other meetings on the budget. So I guess a question I have, is there other items that you want to discuss tonight specific to the budget besides future planning of people to meet with us and meet with them.
I think recreation.
Yeah.
And then if there are articles from the annual town meeting, but personally, budget wise, I think we covered the rest of them in the summit.
Do we want to have rec meet with us? Howard, you're meeting with police.
Yep, I'm meeting with them next week, later in the week.
I know Andrew met with DPW already.
Yeah, and then we met with Bill at the summit.
Right. And then we met with everyone at the budget summit.
Hear more, I guess, Andrew, you met with DPW?
Yeah.
So again, what I think we get from our taxes are police, fire, DPW, right, roads and and I know we've been kicking that can down the road for a very long time, but that seems to be a very large part of this budget besides schools.
Yeah. But DPW is only a 1.1% increase.
It's not the increase, it's the capital items, and we're putting, and again, I'm not saying the roads don't need it. There's a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, we could have. I mean, we could talk
Bill come
more
in?
about the sidewalk roads conversation.
And I'm
25 million.
I'm interested in your opinion as well after meeting with them of your thoughts of, as the advisory member, what did you find? Is there anything you didn't agree with? Did you find places that there's cut? I'm looking for cuts, right? We're all looking for how to keep this down. Kick it down the road, but maybe.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we could maybe make some cuts there. I mean, I think there's maybe some staffing that we could do, but that gets tricky. We don't have to do it necessarily to get to the budget number, but I think I was going into it more of a how do we avoid an override, and we're going to slash really close to the bone versus now we're cutting but not to the bone. So I don't know if we need to go there. I think capital obviously is one, but I think fortunately he has pretty good ideas.
The two pieces of heavy equipment at 250,000 plus. What are those for again?
These two dump trucks.
Yeah.
I think they're just replacement of old vehicles.
I think I'll ask Bill to come and meet with us. I mean, it doesn't have to be long, but if we had questions for him. So I think that would probably be helpful.
And is there any, I don't know if this is even allowed, are there any sharing of vehicles possible? I don't know who they share with. I know they share that they're talking about splitting with cemetery and some other things. Is there?
Yeah, they split them between water and cemetery and the other areas that they're shared. The other thing that I mentioned to Bill that's something we should look at in the future is you could do shared equipment with multiple municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would share your street cleaners because you don't use them all the time, or like the catch basin vacuum trucks, which we don't have one. But if we did buy one to say, hey, we share it with Northborough or Westborough or whatever, so that that's more of a summer psychological conversation on can we find some economies of scale. I know years ago before they bought the street cleaners, there was conversations about leasing them, and I guess at the end they just bought them, but I don't necessarily agree with that, but that was before my time.
Okay. Again, it's turning, and I understand why. Again, we've been kicking the can for so long, but it's there's big numbers there, and that's unfortunately the big numbers is where you start looking. So.
Right.
All right. So I think we definitely met one of our goals tonight. Update and discuss the special town meeting March 2nd. We've gone through quite a bit of the budget items with some good feedback on several things. We will invite Rec and DPW perhaps to our next meeting. We may want to have police too, depending on your meeting, Howard.
I haven't seen the draft warrant yet.
Me neither. I have not seen that. No.
But yeah, I think we could just go through that and see if there's any.
We can start that
article people that we want to have.
Yes.
Probably planning for sure, because I think there's like 5 zoning ones.
Yeah, so planning. All right. So if we look at I will skip stormwater for a second, and since this ties directly to budget, and the articles and the town meetings. The upcoming meeting schedule. So first off, does anyone think we should meet the day of the March 2nd meeting? Town clerk has reserved rooms if we think we want to meet that day.
Don't think we need
Is it too soon to tell? I mean, we can always ask at the next meeting. But...
It'll depend on the language that gets cleaned up.
All right. We'll reserve that, but just as awareness.
I mean, we can always vote it when we get there.
Yeah. Okay.
At the meeting versus having our own meeting prior, but I don't know if there's enough to.
I mean, I'll check. We'll table it for have one more meeting before then, if needed. So I'm just looking at the calendar right now, and 2 weeks from tonight is actually Ash Wednesday. That's the 18th. That might not work for some. I'm not sure. But maybe having a tentative meeting set up for that day in case we need to meet before the next town meeting. We do need to at least have a meeting to discuss our letter.
Would Tuesday that week be available instead?
Yeah.
I actually have a meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah,
That
7.
Yeah, I can't do the 17th.
Okay.
Okay.
I am tentative for both of those dates, so
Okay.
I'll let you know. I'm out of town. I just don't know what day I'm flying yet. So
Okay. The other option will be it'll be too late to do our letter though for the 2nd, because the 25th, I think I don't know if Tim's still here. Tim, is the select board meeting again not until the 24th? Am I right or no? Could be wrong. All right.
Yeah, we could do the 24th would work, or the 25th.
Okay. Well, we'll hold as a potential the 17th, 18th, the 24th, or the 25th. Okay.
I can
We'll confirm.
If you're pushing towards the 17th, because that seemed to work for more others, I will. No commitment. I'll do my best to be around for the 17th and the 18th, but
All right.
or take it remotely, that night. So
Yeah,
All right. I don't think. Go ahead.
I can do the
Ryan.
17th or the 24th. The 25th is my anniversary. I don't think I'd get away with that one.
All right. No. There we have our limits. We don't want anyone in trouble. Okay. The last sort of agenda item besides minutes, et cetera, is to talk quickly about the fact that we have been asked by select board at a recent meeting. I think Howard and I might have been at that meeting, and some others may be online, but to look at stormwater usage fee enterprise water fund and do an analysis, which Andrew has kindly already started and has a basic document. I don't know if you want to share that at all, Andrew.
Yeah, I can
but
explain to people what we're talking about here.
I do think that in sort of a brief discussion with Andrew, this would not be something we would be doing before the April meeting, but perhaps before the fall town meeting. But of course, the committee can decide.
Summer project to kind of look into it. But I think Westboro just did this. Westwood, I think some other towns. It's very common elsewhere in the country, but basically, you would take whatever costs we have related to stormwater, which would be our MS4 compliance, drain basin cleaning, all the culverts, all the drains underneath the town, etc. You would basically create a water, like we have the water enterprise fund. You would create a stormwater enterprise fund and basically just shift those costs over there, including personnel, equipment, just like we do with water. Mm-hmm. And then you can allocate that cost out based upon. The next page explains it, but based upon different. Like some people use ERUs, which is basically equivalent residential unit. So basically they say, okay, if you have a single family house, it's roughly, this is what your cost is. And then larger commercial properties, they basically do it off of the percentage or the amount of impervious surface. So anything that's not, roofs, asphalt, anything that's impervious. So I think there's a couple. One, this is kind of a more fair cost allocation methodology. You're actually kind of taking the cost of stormwater and kind of giving it to the people that create more runoff. Two, you also can charge to nonprofits because it is a usage fee, so it passes the Emerson test in terms of that. And it also takes that cost out of the tax levy, so it also helps us from our levy capacity. So just a thought process that, I had looked at a couple years ago. So the question is, do we want to dive into it and take a look at it more in the summertime? By my initial calculations, I see it brought up, I think, about a 30% shift out of the residential to the commercial and nonprofit sectors. So something to think about. But I think the question is, we would send out an extra bill. Most towns send it in the water bill with the water bill. So there's some operational cost to it, postage, et cetera, and whether or not that's worth it or not, but it's something to think about.
And in this model, all single family homes have the same flat rate, or is it by driveway and roof size, or does a 10,000 square foot house get a higher bill than a 2,000 square foot?
So I think that's where you can kind of define how you want to do it, right? So you can do it, all single families are, 1 unit, or a larger single family is 2 units, or it's, we have it actually by property, by amount, actual square footage. So you could say, okay, you have a giant house with giant whatever, you pay this percentage of the actual calculation. A lot of towns use ERUs because then you're not having to do an impervious surface calculation for every new house built or every new property. You're just like, listen, this is what you get. You pay your, $5 a month, right? And you get your bill. And then, because the real payers are the commercial properties, right? The largest single impervious surface in the town of Southborough is actually Harvard's book depository. So I think there's some big, think about the office buildings with the big parking lots, et cetera. So there's some big commercial payers that are paying, a smaller portion than they would.
Okay.
But
So we've been kind of tasked or asked to do this further workup and analysis. So we just wanted to raise it for awareness tonight. Folks can start looking at this, but I think after the town meeting, during a meeting, we should definitely talk about it more and assign further work for the summer. Folks agree?
Yep.
if we think it's worth looking into, if we think it's kind of a
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think it is, for sure.
Right. Looking into it, definitely we'll see what right.
I think the only real cons again is the administrative work on it. We did already do, if you remember years ago, we got a grant to as part of the MVP Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant. We had the town surveyed for impervious surface. It was also part of our MS4 permit, like kind of, calculations and information there. So we have the data already in our GIS. So you can basically tell, which by property, what is the impervious surface, what kind of impervious surface, that's all in the data. And then I believe if there's a new commercial property, that impervious surface calculation has to be done, as part of planning board, site plan, et cetera. So you kind of capture it there. But again, coming up with the process and how cumbersome would it be? Is the juice worth the squeeze in the end? Probably.
Is the residence or building itself considered an impervious surface, or is it just the blacktop around it?
Yeah, so it's the house, it's the blacktop, it's pools, it's basically anything that the water can't run through.
Okay. All right. So more to come on that. Thank you, Andrew, for what you've already done in the past. We're ahead of the game, and I think it's great that we would look into it. Item number 5, we've talked about meeting schedules, so we have a tentative plan on that. Review and approve minutes. Claire.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I sent out minutes for, I don't know, you didn't approve any minutes at the budget summit. Okay.
We did not.
So those are the latest set that I have
Yep.
sent out. I'm sorry, I'm a
It's
couple
okay.
sessions behind, but we're working ahead. I actually just resent them right before the meeting. The ones that I sent out on the January 24th. It's the same ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For
Yeah.
October 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Then why? It's the same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're
So
pretty, they're
yeah.
pretty short.
Well, I just
They are.
figured if you got, maybe they got lost down at the
Yeah.
bottom of the pile.
No.
Who knows?
I did.
Actually, when you think about it, it's all old news, but it's,
Yeah.
it's just gotta get done.
I couldn't find where we approved September 30th either, but if we didn't do that and we
Those-
haven't reviewed it, you
Um,
gave us a beautiful draft 4, like a final draft. And this is the night we
I
discussed all the
believe-
articles. Did we approve it? Kim?
Yeah, they were approved.
Okay. I had that to check on.
posted. Yeah. And
Okay, good.
posted.
Okay. So then we only have
But
October
I
14th.
apologize. I actually have, it's just a table and it has the dates, status of
Okay.
them, when they were approved.
Oh, good. Okay.
and all that kind of stuff that I'll send to you.
All right. I was looking
I
for
don't
it and
wanna
I'm
get-
like, I'm not sure.
I mean,
know-
in this minutes, it tells that we're going to do that at the next meeting. So I think we're just waiting on the meeting minutes after the October 14th meeting.
Okay. So October 14th, did everyone have a chance to review the minutes? Or do you want to
They're
table it to the
if
next
you read
meeting?
them before the meeting on January
did.
24th, they're the same ones.
I did, yeah. Did anybody read them?
Yeah.
Don't want to take a vote if nobody's ready.
And if
Okay.
you're not ready to do it, what I can do is so that I don't look like a real sinner, because I am the sinner here, so to speak.
Yeah.
I can just send them, and they'll take drafts just so that
They do,
they're
yeah.
in progress.
Okay. These were very short. This was the night we had the presentation by planning board on the zoning amendment. It was a pretty short meeting. So it wouldn't take long.
Yeah, I think the
That's
only
fine.
one I had was Marnie with an E.
Okay.
And
I
Eric,
didn't
Eric
catch
with
that.
a K, yeah?
Oh, Eric. We have Eric with a K here. Is it someplace else?
With the C.
Oh, right here. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, elsewhere. Yeah, anywhere. So Claire, 2 edits. Anywhere it says vote, change it to Eric with a K. And
My
Marnie.
apologies. I've gone back and forth on that 1,000 times.
You got it at the top. You're good there. It's that, and then Marnie.
I
So-
actually
repeat.
thought I had fixed that, but my bad on that one
Since we're
too.
being formal, I really honestly don't care, but since we're being formal about the minutes, it just.
Yeah.
That's
This
all.
is for posterity. I mean, this is, people are going to look at these hundreds
know.
of years from now.
Hey, Eric, I don't
They're
want to
waiting.
get fired from this job.
But you're gonna spend a few calories and
Yeah.
electrons moving some letters around. I was just go ahead and correct it.
Okay. All right.
So I'm in the dark here for a reason, just so that you don't think I'm lying.
Okay.
When I
So-
sit on my kitchen table, I have a picture window that faces out to Main Street. And I don't have any curtains and I don't want people
Okay.
seeing me sitting here at the kitchen table.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for clarifying that, Claire.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, I didn't want you to think that.
No, I know. No, it's good to know. So I don't know if everyone's read them. I've read them. I had no changes. I don't know, Andrew, you've
I
read
can vote
them.
them. Yeah, I read them.
Okay.
I mean, this is it. If people,
They're pretty short, yeah.
Is everybody ready
Alright,
to
so-
vote then? Okay.
I move that we approve the October 14th, 2025 minutes as amended.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Howard,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Larry,
Abstain.
abstain, Barry,
Abstain.
Andrew,
Aye.
Marcy is aye. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. Last couple of more items. Any other business brought forth? Anyone have any items to properly bring forth? I love that phrase. All right. Public comment? I don't see any hands.
Any hands raised?
Nope. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All right. Barry,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Larry,
aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Marcy is aye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Good
night.
Good night.